Okay, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, or even good evening. My name is Patrick, and this is Gauntlet Con 2018, and we are playing Swords Without Master this morning. I am so excited. We got a great group this morning, and we're going to go through and have everybody introduce yourselves. Let's start with Anders. Anders, can you say hello and tell us a little bit about Cleave?
Hello, I'm Anders, and I am playing Cleave, the swordsman and son of the legendary General Benedict. He's known for wielding the sword Simplicity with its impossibly sharp edge, and for wearing the worm scale coat that so hard that even Simplicity's edge is turned by it. And he's out to make his own name.
Awesome. Can you also touch on your feats heroic and the trick you chose?
My feats heroic. Jovial. Demonstrate my prowess with the blade with a terrifying flourish. For the jovial, and for glums, strike fear into my enemy's heart with my resolve. And my trick is adroit prowess. None can match me with a blade.
I love it. So were Simplicity and the worm scale coat like hand-me-downs from your legendary general father?
The worm scale coat was Simplicity I have found and claimed in my own travels.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And Anders, tell us what the first gaming convention you ever been to was.
The first gaming convention I've been to was Metatopia 2016.
Awesome.
The con drop from that one was terrible with the election.
I can imagine. Wow, yeah. All right. Let's move on to Jason. Jason, tell us about Sancho.
Yeah, I'm Jason. I'll be playing Sancho. Sancho is a very handsome man, kind of he's got a great smile, dark skin, very good looking, fit. My all that deserves a name things are Alaran, a prince, my secret lover, who was forced to spurn me because of his station. Twilight, my curved blade, a gift from my family. And the Ghostlands, which is a liminal space I can access in dreams or through meditation. My trick is, I'm going to do my trick first because it makes sense to do that first. My trick is Unparalleled, and that's the one that lets one change one of your tones. And so I am changing jovial to sensual, and that has a bearing on my feats heroic. So my sensual feat heroic is charm my way out of a situation using my sexuality. My glum feat heroic is enter the Ghostlands and manipulate their emotions.
Nice, I love it. So what is the station of Alaran? Why did he have to spurn?
I think he's just like a very wealthy like prince from a different culture, and I'm just like I'm a rogue, so it was not good for him to, I think it was like probably his parents, like kind of, threatened to execute me or whatever, that kind of thing. So.
Wow. Does Alaran also have access to the Ghostlands?
No. The Ghostlands is a thing that I think I think it's like a cultural thing that I can do. So it's like something.
Awesome. So Jason, tell us, what was your first ever gaming convention?
So my first gaming convention as an adult was MagCon, which takes place in the Houston area. But my second one, just to ping off Anders a little bit, my second one was Metatopia 2016. So
awesome, great. Same place, same time. Sweet. All right, let's move on to Pavel.
Hello, I'm Pavel. I'm playing Inax the Firebearer. Inax is a bold man wearing a wonderful Dragonscale Cloak. And the things that deserve a name for him is Sura, which is the Dragon Lord of Fire. and Inax has killed the son of Sura to get his gift. Gift being that a human can harness the power of something supernatural. So he's strong and he can cast fire like a dragon. But a mighty man as him wouldn't be good without a little weakness, and his mad love in Inara, a normal human woman who just I'm not sure if she's accompanying us or not. We will have to see. So he will do anything for her. Fitzheroic, when he's in a mood of being glum, he just goes in for the tour to resolve a problem. Quiet, not really talking, just punch it or speak very bluntly, very aggressively to just get the job done. When he's in his jovial mood, he makes a show. He just speaks loudly, just words of power. He summons the rain of fire or other ways to master that people should not mess with him or to melt the enemies with the fire. And the trick is inevitable foe. Unfortunately, Sura is coming to get the revenge for the murder of his son. So
that's awesome. By the way, I know people watching this can't see the picture, but that picture is amazing. I absolutely love the Dragonscale Cloak. It's really cool. So yeah, this Sura that you killed his son to get the gift. Was that something you had planned, or was it just something that happened during an adventure?
I think it was planned adventure. So he trained since he was a young boy that maybe one day he will be able to go. It's very hard to kill a dragon, but a small drake, a baby of dragon just born, it's possible to go and with some training and some might to slay it. So he was training to go and be one of the gift seekers and maybe to get the gift or not.
Awesome. I love it. Pavel, what was the first gaming convention you ever went to?
I also don't remember the one I went as a child. I think the one I remember as an adult was a local convention called Fantasy Days. And I just visited it last year, and then this year I was already doing some content for it. So
awesome. Thank you. All right. Last but definitely not least, Vincent, tell us about Little Bird.
Little Bird's the littlest character in the party, but definitely not the least. So she is about 9 years old, and the town she grew up in, Side Saddle, was burned to the ground. The local baron came in and he was looking for something. Local legend has it that there's something called an auburn stone, which has the power to turn back a moment of time. Obviously something that's everybody wants, but it comes with a price, especially the longer time you want to turn back, the higher the price. My parents had been away for quite some time. I had been killed. I had been killed for quite some hours. When I came to, the village was burned down. Fire was raging out of control, and I came back to life with this stone. Since I was as long as I could remember, I've always received messages in feathers. I've always been able to read feathers, whether they come to me in dreams or whether it's something that I just find. Now these feathers are bringing me outside of town. They're telling me that I can make a new home, that I can find new friends, and that I can get revenge. Generally speaking, she's a happy-go-lucky kid, laughing in the face of danger. But when pushed to her limits, the Carrie moment kind of takes over. Fire rages out of control. A swarm of crows comes to torment the souls of those who would dare her. It seems like all of the adults can't be trusted, and yet she's a very trusting person. So there you go.
Awesome. So does Little Bird know? Is it a he, she, them?
She, but it looks like a little boy. You wouldn't be able to tell.
Okay.
Like
So
a
does
like
Little
a
Bird know that she's dead, or is she like still thinking she's living?
she thinks she's alive and totally normal. She just came to, doesn't know what happened. She's freaked out that maybe she's the one that burned down everything. She doesn't really know.
Awesome. This Baron, was it like the Baron of the lands, or was it like a Baron from elsewhere that came to conquer?
It might have been from elsewhere, but not terribly far. It's not like they typically visit little villages all the time. So that, I think, was a rare occasion.
Cool, cool. All right. So, Vincent, tell us what the first gaming convention you ever attended.
I think the first one was Unpub a few years ago, and is really much more on the board gaming side. And that was really cool. To just blew my mind to play with all of these designers and realize everybody has, an IQ over 160 or something. It was amazing. And then I went to a local convention as my second one, called KublaCon here in San Francisco. And the first time I played RPGs after like a 20-something year break, and that also blew my mind. I didn't realize there were indie games and things, and loved it. So here we are.
Sweet, sweet. So I guess in all fairness, I should answer that question as well. My first gaming convention, I'm not going to lie, was GauntletCon last year. I've never been to a physical convention, but now I really want to go because I just keep hearing all these stories about how awesome they are. And yeah, so like I've always been told I've had like an outrageous imagination, and I'm, I'm a dreamer in a way. But like when I did GauntletCon last year, like I realized that like, holy crap, there's a lot of really super creative people in this space with great imaginations, and I absolutely love it. Actually, in the spring, I'm going to try to go to a GamaCon, which is like an anime convention. It's a startup. It's real small. I think they're in their third year, and I'm not even an anime fan, but I just want to go to a convention because I keep hearing great things about it. So definitely going to check it out next year.
Small
Watch out
cons
for
are
the
always better than
con
big
crud.
ones.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Watch out for the con crud. Everybody always ends up bring that hand sanitizer. I don't know.
Right. I think it's a mix of, being in crowds and, not getting enough sleep for the most part, from
Right.
what I hear.
Yeah.
All right. So we are ready to jump into play. If you look at the game board up there where it says Game Eidolon in the top right, I put a link. So like I get to choose an Eidolon as well for what they call the starting Eidolon. And it'll give you a little idea of the setting we're going to be playing in.
Whoa. Epic.
So, before we roll into the first phase, I'm going to ask a few just, kind of establishing, buy-in questions for the characters real quick, and then we'll roll into the first phase. This is the Temple of the Sky and the Three Spires. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through and ask each of your rogues a question. All right, let's go in reverse order than what we just did. Vincent, why is Little Bird here?
The whispers on the feathers told me that that I'm needed here, and that I would be able to meet the people that would be able to lead me to a new home.
Oh, nice. All right. Pavel, How did Little Bird convince you to come along on this?
She told me that it's a place where maybe I can learn how to gift my beloved with the power of the lightning.
Oh, really? Nice.
Wow.
All right. Jason, tell us why Sancho. Actually, let's do this a little bit better. Why does Alaran want Sancho to be here?
Alaran believes that the secret to my noble heritage can be found in this temple, and that might be enough of a might be enough to give our relationship the green light. I don't buy it personally.
Awesome.
I neither buy it nor see why it's important. So
Sweet. All right, Cleve. Cleve, what do you fear most about this temple in this area?
This is a place where the divine is uncomfortably close to the mundane.
Nice.
And lightning gods are bad news.
I agree. Lightning gods are bad news.
I mean, look across the realm of mythology. You don't mess with the lightning gods. They are petty.
Well, you know, depending on the mythology, all the gods are petty in a way.
But within like any mythology, ones that are especially petty tend to be the lightning gods.
Sweet. All right. So I'm going to go to roll for your party, and I'm going to roll for our opening tone, and then we'll jump in. All right. So my jovial die is higher, so we start out jovial. Another thing on this this tabletop, these squares right here, they represent the moving of the dice. So when you pass it to another player, just put it on their block. If you need to pass the dice back to me as the overplayer, just throw it over here in this right area. Okay. That's just to represent the movement of dice. This little arrow here, I will move back and forth depending on what my tone is. I am jovial, so I will keep it there. Yeah, so the four of you are coming to an end of this just long, arduous journey. You knew it was a tough task, you know, to get to the Temple of the Sky, but you didn't really realize how bad it was. It started off okay, but as you got further and further away from civilization towards the Temple of the Sky and the Three Spires, the weather turned. It seemed like everything that was possible the gods could do to keep you away from here, they did. You ran into dust storms. You ran into lightning storms. You ran into areas of the desert that were flooded in like quicksand that you had to go around. It was arduous. It was a tough journey. You don't even know how long you've been on this journey. But you know now that as you stand on this ridge and look out over the temple and its crackling skies and bright flashes of thunder and lightning, that you finally made it. And maybe a sense of relief comes over you, or maybe the fear grips you more. I do not know. So we are going to start in a rogues phase. So in a rogues phase, we're going to make demands of each other as we pass the dice. You want to phrase your demands as show us how you blink. And the reason you phrase it like that is because you want your demand to be actionable by the other rogue. So I'm going to pass the dice to I'm going to pass the dice to Inex. Inex, you get the dice first. Show us. Oh, wait. I need to introduce the thunder. So the thunder is like this foreboding omen that something bad's about to happen. It could pass or it could actually come to be. So the omen for this phase is going to be that lightning. Like, not only is it crackling in the sky, it's starting to crackle down further down these spires. And as you get closer, you notice they crackle a little bit further down the spire. So that is the actual thunder of this. So Inex, show us how you find the proper way to approach these spires. And what you want to do is you want to roll first to get your tone.
Okay.
Oh, it's a it's a tie right off the bat. Okay, so what ties do in the rogues phase is flips the question on its head. So instead of it being show us how you find the proper path to the spires, the question now becomes show us how either you don't find the proper path to the spires, or you find the most improper path to the spires. And your tone is glum because it just flips the overtone.
Okay. Oh, wow. Let me get inspired by that. And it's only me, or do I use my narration some of us as well, or only me and Inara? Like, what are my tools, or am I the god in this space of describing?
You are the god in this space over anything and everything except for the other characters.
Okay. Okay. Glum. So at first we see Inox. I think with the power of the dragon, the climbing of the mountain, as we see all of us were climbing mountain just before coming to this wonderful view. Maybe Inox was the fastest to climb because he has the power of the dragons. He wasn't really speaking to his beloved. He was just like helping her and almost like throwing her up a couple of meters of the mountain to climb. And after he has seen the spires, he was really unafraid of the lightning, but he was like very quiet and just like didn't even say. He just like mumbled to her like stay, and he just like rushed forward, stepped directly in the direction of the towers. And this is when he learned that can I use the hammer somehow, this like lightning stuff. So, and this is like when he learned that the lightning, well, the gods don't like people like striding into their home. So he was like struck by lightning, and we have seen this like shift. And he was like constantly being like, he was like for a few moments, he was like constantly electrocuted, but he was tough. He didn't like shout at it in pain or anything. After it was done, he was just like smoking, and we have seen that the gates to the main spire just like closed on its own. And at first he was like very angry. He just like approached the door and started bashing at them, but he realized that this will not get the job done. So improper way, in the most improper way. Yeah, and I think over the next day of all of us searching the area, if I can say so, Inox finally found a tunnel in the side of the mountains, and we have climbed almost next to it all the way. And this tunnel hopefully leads to the spires from under the ground. And I think we see like Inox shout with a very deep voice that echoes from the mountains, almost like with the strength of the dragon. I have found a way. Climb down. We will proceed from here.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, I could say that was definitely foreboding. So, like, if I wanted to pick out a tone from your narration, the closing of the doors was definitely foreboding. All right. So, with the rogues phase, anybody can end the phase. So anybody could say, all right, I'm done with this phase. Let's move on to something else. But if the phase continues, Pavel, you want to pass the dice to another rogue and make a demand of them.
Okay, I'm thinking. The crows. Prince. Okay. I'm going to pass the dice to the little bird, and I'm going to say that tell us how do you lead our way through the traps protecting this pathway.
Okay. Do I need to roll first or anything, or?
That's correct. You want to roll first to get your tone?
Okay. So, okay. Is that a tie?
Did it roll?
I did. I got a 4 and a 4.
Okay, because that was the same thing.
Oh.
Try it again. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, let me.
If you get the exact same result, it probably means it didn't do anything.
Yeah, let me. Oh, I see. I gotta click the. So red is jovial. Is that right?
Yes. So you are in jovial tone.
She, while Inax is getting struck by lightning and getting lost, and everybody else is, wandering in this terrible storm, Little Bird's just hopping and skipping and just having a grand old time. This is her first adventure, and she's so excited. And we find our way in the tunnel, and as we enter, she sees a little crow that hops into the shadows, leading their way in. And in that moment, she stops and she holds up her hand, and she says, I found it. I got it. I know why we're here. They tell us that we're here to steal something. So let's go. And you just see her like running without any caution whatsoever into the darkness of the tunnel. And she finds a feather, and she stoops down to pick it up. And as she does so, a blade comes right across her head from a trap. And she kind of nods and puts the feather in her pocket, and she says, "Come this way." And along the way, perhaps, Sancho or Cleve are disarming the traps as they're pointed out by her inadvertently.
As they head into the tunnel, Cleve comments, "Let it be known, I do not like this."
And then the second feather is also on the ground, and she leans over to pick it up. And as she does so, the ground gives way. It's kind of like a pit trap, but the feather had been just light enough to not trigger it, but the act of picking it up had. So now we are deeper into the tunnel. It's extremely dark. There's a little bit of fire from Little Bird, and so actually, Little Bird sees that Inax has some fire to light the way, and she's like, I can do that too. And then she makes this like huge, her hands are like out of control, but I don't really know how to control it yet, And so the tunnel is extremely bright now with way too much fire. And she kind of looks to the group like, wow, that's a really big pit. I don't know how we're going to get across it. And she's just there kind of scratching her head, and and then maybe I can ask another player what to do next.
Absolutely. So you can pass the dice to another rogue and make a demand. I forgot to mention you could pass the dice back to me as the overplayer if you want to like make a demand of the world.
Okay. So what does a demand mean? Like a question or a?
Yeah, it's a question phrase. Show us how you blank. Or if you ask me, it'd be show us how the world blank, or show us something about that isn't decided by the player characters.
Okay. Yeah, I hand the dice to our GM, and I demand, show us how the world doesn't give us a second to really think about this trap and pushes us forward.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so
Trigger the boulder.
let's see. I am still glum. Yeah, I imagine that as Little Bird had made this ball of fire over this just seemingly bottomless pit, that suddenly like it starts to dim and slowly starts descending. It like pulls out of Little Bird's hands and this ball of light descends, and you're looking down and you're seeing the light shine off the sides of this pit as it goes down. And then it just snuffs out. And as it snuffs out an axe's light as well. So you are in pure darkness. Until you notice a blue light coming back from where you had come before. And you notice it's strange, but it's slowly moving. Forks of electrical energy and lightning crawling down the cave towards all of you. Yeah, so Sancho, show us how Sancho reacts to this slow-moving lightning that is stalking the four of you.
I can't wait for you to roll jovial here.
We shall see. It is glum.
Oh, it is glum, and since neither die is above 4, what that is a moral. So you'll still narrate in a glum tone what your character does, but there will be a consequence of it. Now, either you could come up with a consequence, or I could come up with a consequence. It's your choice. But if you come up with a consequence and I don't think it's sharp enough, I can override you on it. Okay. Now, out of that consequence in your action, you will write down a moral, which is a lesson of what your rogue should have learned from that.
So, glum. We see this ball of lightning slowly advancing down the tunnel toward us, blue, and the way that the lightning is moving is causing the shadows to shift all around us. So it's like we're in this narrow tunnel with just these darting, moving shadows all around. And I'm reminded of all the time I've spent in the Ghostlands, particularly as a child when I didn't have very good control over this talent, and how everyone's emotions and regrets and doubts appear as shadows dancing about the walls. And I walk toward this ball of lightning, and my hope is to pass close enough into the Ghostlands to create a space for this ball of lightning to safely pass through, to dissipate, just to shift the air, the space, the dimension around me enough to engulf it. But as I walk forward, I remember too late that I am wearing a pair of fancy metal bracers that were a gift from Prince Alaran, the last gift he gave to me when he sent me away. And I hold up my hands, and I hold them up, and I begin the prayer my head bowed, silently, solemnly, to wrap myself in the Ghostlands, to stretch the space around me. And I'm so caught up in this silent meditation that I do not feel, no, I do feel my wrists and arms tingling from the electrostatic interaction between the bracers and the ball lightning. But I think this is just me passing into the Ghostlands. Regrettably, the ball lightning hits me and shocks me quite badly. And in a bit of an echo of the first scene, I am there smoking as the ball lightning courses through my body. And I just collapse into a heap on the ground, and we are back in darkness.
I love it. That was so good. So what you want to do is you want to come up with a lesson and write that under morals. So
I don't know if this is too on the nose, but I think my lesson is to maybe it could be simple, like don't wear metal armor when in a land wrecked with lightning, or it could be something a little bit more poetic, like do not rely on familiar instincts.
There you go. Yeah. So if you just type that in one of those bullets under morals.
Do not rely on familiar instincts when in a hostile land.
Okay.
Another possible one is respect the gods' purviews.
All right. So anybody can end the phase here, or Jason, you could pass the dice and make another demand.
So why did we get to end the phase?
You could just end the phase. Anybody can end the phase if they just want to move on to a different phase.
Awesome.
Or if they want to play a trick.
I might remind everybody too about writing down motifs. I've already done 2. I don't want to keep being the person who does them.
Right. Yeah. Don't be afraid to throw down threads. They are the pacing mechanic of the game. So,
Like both the ones you've nailed ones that I would have thrown down. So,
I'm going to. I feel pretty comfortable with this. Well, we're still in the dark though, right? So what does ending the phase mean, Pat? Like what will you then go to after that?
So the way the phases work is they can occur in the same scene. So like I could start the next phase right where this one ends off. I could jump forward. I could even jump back if I wanted to. But if you want to try out a different phase, you can end the phase. Anybody can end the phase. Okay.
Yeah, let's end the phase. Yeah.
All right. So I'll take the dice back. Sweet. So if anybody wants to play a trick, you can play a trick here while we're in between phases. Not yet? Okay. So I will roll for overtone. That's a tie. So what a tie does when I roll overtone is it just flips the tone. So I'm back to jovial. Okay.
A question. And what does your tone mean? How does your tone interact with our tone that we roll?
When I narrate, whenever I'm narrating something, it's in my tone. It's in the overtone. So if you would have noticed, like the opening narration, I talked about the crackling lightning and the dust storms and all that. It was jovial, was loud. When the next time I narrated about the pit snuffed out the light. So that was bringing in darkness. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, let's move on to a discovery phase. So I imagine like we're just going to move ahead in time just a little bit. The four of you found your way through this darkened cavern that was like swallowing light except for that electricity. And you've come into a cavern that you were a little bit hesitant to enter because it had that same blue glow as earlier that was chasing you. But as you walk in, it's like one of the most beautiful underground spaces you can imagine. There's like glowing ferns and like glowing fungi and mushrooms that are just giving off this bioluminescence. And there's there's like little critters running around, and they're glowing as well, you know, different colors. It is like the most beautiful like underground scene you could possibly imagine here in this cavern. Yeah, so I think this is a good place for a discovery phase. So how a discovery phase works is I'll pass the dice to you, you'll immediately roll, and then you'll make a discovery. Now, what a discovery is something that your rogue is just now learning, or something that your rogue is already known. But it could be anything. This is your chance to add whatever detail you want to this world. Yeah, we have not seen Cleve in action yet. So, Cleve, before you roll, I'm going to come up with the thunder. The thunder is, it seems like these glowing critters, the ones that actually can hide, are like starting to like peel away from the four of you and like hide, like they're frightened of something. That is the thunder.
All right, let's roll and see where we go. And that's a jovial tone. And so I look around the cavern here with wonder. It's like, I would not have thought a place like this would exist so close to the thunder god's Daman, or however you pronounce the word. I only know it from spelling in Exalted books. There must be another power here to let this space flourish. I know not what it is. But I think, like, for the discovery is discovering the place and recognizing that there's another divine power acting here.
Awesome. Yeah. So you discovered that there's like another divine power here. You get to ask me as the overplayer a loaded question about that discovery. And now a loaded question is anything that's not yes or no.
Yes. So we'll move the dice back over to you for that then. And what does this place's power ask of us?
Oh, wow. So I imagine, like, as the four of you are standing here in this glowing, or this paradise of glowing life, like, you don't actually hear a voice, but maybe you're thinking of a voice. You don't know kind of what it is. It's kind of in your head, but you're not really hearing it. But it basically says, please don't harm my glowing children. And we will continue the discovery phase. So the discovery phase, only I can end that as the overplayer. And I think we should have some more discovery here. So I want to see a child's view of this place. Little bird, make us a roll and make a discovery.
Uh-huh. Oh, is that a tie? 2 and a 2.
Awesome. All right. So what a 2 and a 2 is, it's a tie. So that what a tie does in the discovery phase is you still get to make a discovery, but nobody sees it. Okay. So it's that dramatic irony. Like if you think about a horror movie and the audience can see the ghost, but the characters can't, that's what's happening here. So the discovery that you make is it's still there. It's part of the world, but the rogues don't see it. Also, because since it's lower than 3, or since it's 3 or lower, it is a mystery. So what that is supernatural, paranormal, or magical in nature. And what you get to do is write a question about it.
Okay.
Or also, remember you have your feats heroic. So if you ever want to ignore the dice in any situation, you can use one of your feats heroic.
My feats heroic. True. So in this glowing cavern, there's just so many amazing flora there. There's mushrooms, bigger than a parasol. So she jumps on one, and little bits of glowing dust appear. She jumps on another. Ooh, and then there's another thing. She sees a geometric flower. Perhaps it's like a lily, but it is angular like crystal, and it tinkles like ice. Oh, and then there's another thing. And as she goes through the brush, she makes one discovery that's apparent to us, and perhaps something discovers her that's not apparent to us. So she sees a huge ancient stone archway covered in runes and things that she can't read. So she tugs on the sleeve of Cleve and Inax and asks the adults if they could decipher that. So that's a question. And the thing that she doesn't see and that none of us see is that from behind, above on the wall, there is a creature, a large creature that is watching us. And we have disturbed its slumber, and it's hungry. This is a place of flora. We are the fauna. It wants protein.
Nice. So you went along with the mystery, right? That you didn't see the creature. You didn't play a feat, is what I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
That's the mystery. Is we don't know what that creature, or we don't even know it exists. It's there.
Okay, so you want to write a question, okay, about it, because whatever it is that you missed is supernatural, paranormal, or arcane in nature.
Okay. Do I write this on my own notepad or something? Or is
You
this
write it
something
under mysteries,
under
where it
okay,
says
got it.
threads.
Okay. So
What was awakened in the glowing cavern?
this creature's been cooped up here like a jail cell for a long time, and why has it been locked away here?
Okay, awesome. And you also get to ask me a loaded question about it, but not specifically that mystery question.
The loaded question. Okay. The loaded question is, why is it protecting the gate?
Why is it protecting the gate? It is protecting the gate because the gate is a portal not only to its home, but it's also a place that people from this dimension should not cross.
Oh.
So, yeah, all right. I forgot to tell you you were supposed to be glum on that one, but that's okay. That's my fault. Because when you roll a tie, it flips the tone.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
No, it's okay. My fault. All right. So,
well, yeah, a black crow flew on top of the gate, and it's kind of looking at us ominously.
Yeah, I was thinking about it when you started narrating, but I could not stop
Glum
that frolicking.
check.
Yeah, I could not stop that frolicking child from frolicking in this bright glowing place. I was like, all right, this is too cute. Yeah. So, it also see that we finished our first motif. So anything else now will be added to the second motif. Now, just one caveat. At least one of those threads needs to echo an idea from the first motif. So, and it could be like really loosely echoing. All right. So you can talk about gates. You could talk about gods. It could be something about blue light or light in general. It could be about mushrooms or plants or anything that's bigger than you. So that's very flexible in nature. Wondering if I should end this phase here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take the dice back and I'm going to end this phase. So, does anybody want to play a trick? No? Okay.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and deploy my trick.
Okay, so we are going to go to a rogues phase. All right. Let's
Cleve's been feeling distinctly out of his depth here. Let's put him back on grounds where he knows. Like, they have swords, I have swords. Okay, I know how this song goes.
So I was going to go into a perilous phase with this creature, but since you played the trick, we are going to go into a rogues phase. All right. So you are staring. The four of you are standing. Actually, let me roll for tone first before I start this. All right, Jovial. Okay, so the four of you are standing before this ruined archway gate. You don't see the creature watching on, but what you definitely hear is the clattering of stone as this gate begins to kind of rumble a little bit. And as this gate begins to rumble, you hear like this muffled and then all of a sudden it bursts out, and this muffled rumble becomes just shrieks of fury as these creatures they're humanoid, but they're like bone and light. It's like almost like that same glow that's in here, but they have that bone and light, and they have weapons of light, like these blades of light shooting out of their hands. I don't know if any of you played Mortal Kombat, but they're kind of like Baraka from Mortal Kombat. But they're blades of light. Yeah. So that is the thunders. These glowing Barakas coming out of this portal. And since you played the trick, Cleve, you get the dice first. Show us how none can match you with a blade.
And we got doubles.
Wow.
So,
And actually, you know what? I'm deploying a feat heroic. Where's the strike through on this? There it is. Because I want to show off my sword skills, dang it. So these creatures come rushing through, and I shove Little Bird behind me as I draw my sword with my other hand as these things come charging forth. And it's like blades of light versus blades of steel. Let's see who's best. And the sword dance begins. And they are many, but they are no match for my skill. They try and surround me, but my blade whirls in a terrifying flourish. And whether ordinary steel would block these blades, I do not know, but simplicity is up to the task. And as many as they come through, I strike. I am striking them down.
awesome. So are you like defeating them all, or they still coming out?
They are still they are pouring out of the gate, and I am holding the line here. But it's like it's the sort of thing where like I am going to pass it now to Inax and ask, how do we stop this tide of monsters from coming out? Because the sort of thing, like I'm holding them, but eventually enough of them are going to keep pouring out. It's like when the monsters are pouring out in the new Avengers movie, and it's like, yeah, we can take them, but there's just so many of them, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how do we stop this?
So
how do you stop this precisely?
So I think we see
Probably you want to roll first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course.
No, it's okay. All right, you are glum.
So we see Inax. Ainara is like speaking that she's worried. Oh, there are so many undeads, and he just like puts a finger on her mouth and just like gives her a sudden kiss, and we see he like hides her, pushes her under this like huge mushroom, and shows her to like stay here. You'll be safe. And then he just like goes. And we see maybe like Cliff is like protecting him, and we see Inax just like grabs the very heavy like chain that was on this door, and the pieces of this chain are like almost a man's forearm, and he like grabs one of those chains with his like strong hand, and then he starts pulling this side of the gate close, and we probably see like Cliff like trying to like stay clear to like keep him safe from all of this undead coming through, but maybe like some of them get through and just like strike at him, but he doesn't really seem to care. He just like pulls this gate with all of his like dragon power, and he manages just to like close one side of the gate. Glum, quiet power through.
Remember, your feats heroic aren't binding unless you're specifically triggering that to use. It's just
I'm trying to get into the imagination of how to close the other half of the door. Since I don't have so much idea, I suppose I will. Can I like end it like halfway, answering the question?
Well, the demand was to show how you close the portal and stop them all. So yeah, you do have to answer the demand.
Okay. So I suppose we see like the other half of the door doesn't have a chain. So we see Inax just like rush through all of this undead lit by this blue lightning. We see their eyes lit by this blue light, watching as he like powers through them, and they're like striking him, and we see him getting wounded and more wounded, and he like grabs the door and it's like pushes the other half of the door close. But as he does it, we see this like the rest of the undead who were not like defeated by Clave, just like all over Inax, and it is very clear that even with his draconic might, he might need some help to get healed or to survive this. So, so I can bounce the dice back to you and ask you a question. Yes.
You could, if you want to ask a question about the world, you can, or not a question, but if you want to see how the world reacts, you could pass a dice and ask a demand, or you could pass it to another player and make a demand.
I'm going to pass the dice to Sancho. And Sancho, please show us how you are able to talk the undead to stop.
Please be sensual.
It was. I got a 5.
Love it.
I think everyone but Inax is catching their breath momentarily when we see the undead swarming at the gate, and Inax is, he's closed off the passage to new ones, but there are still these others that, he's being swarmed by. I unfasten the clasps of my chest piece armor and let it fall to the ground, revealing my broad, strong, taut chest glowing in the blue light. And I discard the bracers, my gloves. I actually disrobe completely, carefully, always keeping my eye on Inax, measuring how much time I have before they completely consume him, or he falls completely. And I find a pool of glowing phosphorescent liquid, some sort of discharge from this strange place we find ourselves in. And I scoop it into my hands, and I carefully rub this blue, glowing phosphorescent liquid on my body. I start by rubbing my shoulders, and then I work it into my biceps, and I move it across my chest and my neck. And when it's all done, I am standing there, strong, powerful, flesh hanging on my bones, and glowing blue. And I know that as I step forward, that these creatures will look at me, for they are just pale imitations of what I am. They will look at me and know what they used to be, and they will desire me. And I step forward, and these skeletal creatures whose blue glow is erratic at best, whose bodies are emaciated and desiccated, they turn, and they are so struck with my power, with my life force, with my vivaciousness, my beauty, that they simply stop, and in a moment of sorrow mixed with regret, mixed with longing and desire, they simply collapse, unable to bear it.
That was awesome. Sweet.
And I will end the phase.
Cool. All right. So
that was amazing.
Yes, it was. It was very, very good. So we've filled out the second motif. Third motif, same thing. It needs to echo something from either of the first two motifs. But like the second motif is almost like a direct echo from the first motif. Everything there echoes in a way. So we don't have to worry too much about the second motif. All right. Does anybody want to play a trick in between phases? No? Okay. So
I just want to ask a question. Do we have like 2 more hours or 1 more hour?
2 at the most, but considering we are already in the third motif, I'm looking at about an hour to an hour and a half max finishing this up. Is everybody good to just press on, or does anybody need a break or anything?
I could use a break, short one.
Okay, that's fine. Let's take like a 5 real quick. Awesome. So, Pavel and Anders, what else do you two have lined up for today?
For today, absolutely nothing. My next game is my 6 in the morning, which will be probably midnight for you.
Okay. What game are you playing?
Dungeon World cartoon with Walter.
Oh, awesome.
I've got a game of Siren at 3 o'clock my time, and then my non-Gauntlet Con regularly scheduled Unknown Armies game, where we're playing a group of people trying to investigate who's adding supernatural stuff to the water in Detroit.
Oh, wow. It's a little close to real life.
Yeah, that's part of why we went there. Like, Unknown Armies is best when it's at that uncomfortably close to real life edge.
I've never played it. Same thing with Siren. I've always wanted to try Siren, but I've never actually played it.
Yeah, the Baker household just is. I love what comes out of that house.
Cool. Oh, what about you, Vincent? You have anything else lined up for today, games-wise?
I do. Let's see. I am playing. What the heck am I playing? I'm playing my first game of Monster Hearts.
Oh, sweet.
Nice. Remember, how you win in Monster Hearts is by turning on as many people as possible.
I definitely rolled my eyes the first time I heard of the overall like pitch for the game, but I want to give it a fair shot. So.
Oh yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by it. It really does. That game just sings.
As someone who was in that same boat with you, and it's really good.
Yeah, and when Jason gets back, I'll have him give you a tip on playing Monster Hearts because he has played a lot of Monster Hearts.
Oh, great.
Sweet. So how's everybody feeling on this game so far? Cool. It's a very interesting take on collaborative storytelling.
Yeah, it's really cool. It has something to it that Ars Magica lacks, because there you just talk, and here you have some moods, some options to pick from, and it's yeah.
And when we get into the end game, I explain that my favorite part of the game is the end game because it like takes all those threads that we threw down and reincorporates them back into the game through your narrations, which is really cool.
I'm still a little confused, but I like how different the phases are. I don't exactly know how they all work, but I like how different they are.
Yeah, the text from this game is notoriously hard to understand.
Unclear, it's opaque.
It is beautiful prose, but it is not very clear for game explanation.
That's why I'm glad we're playing it, because I think I read it, a few months ago, and I was like, "This looks awesome." I have no idea what it's about. It looks awesome.
I mean, I love Epi, and I think and I agree the prose is really great in this game, but like it's opaque as fuck. Like it's really hard to like make sense of it when you first read it, because it's actually not that complicated, right? Like I think the rules overcomplicated. But.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like I imagine that Epi wrote this game and how he wants all the players to narrate in this game. Like it's an example of your narration. Jason, real quick, Vincent just informed us that he is playing in his first ever Monster Hearts game later today. Could you give him one tip on playing Monster Hearts?
Oh gosh, I don't play Monster Hearts very often, but I do run the shit out of it a lot. And I think the best thing to do with Monster Hearts, the best thing is to don't be scared to be bad. I think like it's really easy to want to play like the nice person, but like don't do that. The game doesn't.
Everybody like me or something.
Yeah. The game wants you, unless you're the mortal and you're just being like. But even then, you're the mortal. You're being this like passive aggressive, codependent piece of shit, right? Like play. Like, don't be scared to like be just like a bratty teenager, right? You're just a bratty monstrous teenager. So.
Yeah, Anders gave the suggestion: just turn everybody on that you can.
So
when in doubt, turn the other person on.
Basically, like 5 years later, Little Bird turns into this.
There you go. Bring Little Bird with you to Monster Hearts.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. So yeah, let's get back into this. We have one more motif to fill out, and then we'll go into the end game. Really enjoying where it's going. So we are in between phases now, and I will roll for tone for the new phase. Glum. All right. Okay, so I'm going to move this ahead in the story a little bit. You've made it out of the glowing cave. You are no longer threatened by these glowing undead barakas that came out of the portal thanks to Inax closing it and Sancho showing them how sexy he is.
I described it as the Old Spice man them into death with regret when I called out a dream for that.
Awesome. Who is writing in a mystery? No, I was wondering who was typing in a mystery.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you only do that when you roll a mystery in game.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so those aren't open. Like mysteries and morals aren't open threads. That's actually part of the game mechanics.
Got it. Okay.
Got
it.
So yeah,
let's move to motifs. Okay. Got it.
Right. So
are we supposed to somehow incorporate morals and mysteries into our narration going forward?
No, not until the end game, and I'll explain all that when we get there. So 3 more threads.
All the threads are just like a setup for the end game. We don't need
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Pretty much. So yeah, let's move this ahead. You're outside the cave. You've actually found where a staircase leads out of these labyrinth type tunnels into one of the spires. So you walk up these stone steps, and as you get closer to where you can see an opening above you, you realize how quiet it is. Your footsteps like echo with each step that you take, and it seems to like the echo lingers for so long, like these walls hold in all sound. The thunder is, even though you can hear your footsteps and it is so quiet, you know, perhaps you have that real light ringing in your ears when you're in a place that's so quiet, but you think you hear like a heavy breathing, almost like this spire itself is breathing. That is the thunder, and we're gonna move into. I think we should go to a discovery phase here, just so we could get like a sense of our surroundings.
Sorry, to be clear, we're in the spire or outside of it?
You have just entered the spire from below.
From like below. Okay.
Yeah.
Secret tunnel.
Yeah, let's go with Sanjo. Why don't you roll and make us a discovery?
Okay. Tone is sensual again. So, discovery. Let me think about it for a moment. And you said that there's like, what was the thunder? There was something breathing or something?
Yeah, you can hear breathing. But it's like coming from all around, almost like the walls of the spire itself are breathing.
Oh, got it. Okay. But it is lit up though. We can see the inside. It's not dark.
It's lit up.
Good. I think as I move around this room at the bottom of the spire, I think we can see up high, right? I'm walking the perimeter of this room, and I'm carefully dragging my hand across the interior wall. And as I do so, I feel that tingle of friction, of static. And at one point, I place my hand on the wall, and that what seems to be breathing, I realize, is really more of a throbbing. It's very deep, and whatever is going on here, whatever this spire is, it is full of life. And so I continue to caress the interior wall, walking around the edge, and I occasionally do something cruel, like use my sharpened thumbnail to scratch into the stone to see if there's any kind of reaction. And what was a sort of pleasurable throb becomes a shaky start, a bit of pain, a reaction. And I discover that whatever this is, we're inside of it, and we are able to coax it with our touch.
We're in we're the temple of the sky, and the temple is sort of alive, and the divine is way too close.
I love it.
Cleve hates this.
Yeah. Thanks for all the innuendo in that one, Jason, with the throbbing spire. So since this is a discovery phase, you get to ask a loaded question about your discovery.
What do I have to do for the spire to reveal my heritage to me?
In order to discover your true heritage, you must renounce a true love that you've once held in your life. All right, so let's go to Inax. Inax, roll and make us a discovery.
Oh, who would expect it? 2 force.
Okay, so that is like what happened before. You still make a discovery, but the rogues don't notice it. Of course, you can play a feat heroic to ignore the dice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to use my jovial heroic fit.
Okay.
How do you cross things?
Got a format and text.
Oh yeah, I did. Format text. Strike through. So we see Inax. This room is like really huge because it's the very bottom of the spire, and he starts to going the opposite direction than Sancho is going, but Inax is like fascinated. He starts to lit all the. He just cast like balls of fire and just leaves them hanging in the air, and it's very excited, and it's walking and it's loudly reading, and slowly we see like runes are appearing on the walls, on the interior walls of this room, and he starts reading them. And some of you might recognize, and the audience might recognize the language as the language to which the people who pray to the gods of the lightning use. And he's reading them, and he's walking around, and he's very, very energetic, and says to Inara, it is here. I'm sure I can find the way to grant you the gift, the lightning gods. But she's just like, oh honey, we don't need to. I'm fine as I am. I don't really need it. And he's like the passionate one over here. No, it's here. It's here. I can find it. Yes, it's here. And we see like maybe like a different section written in even an older language, just like glowing in the fire that he's all summoning to lit this place. So so the question I'm going to ask of you is, what terrible thing do I have to do to grant Inara the gift of the gods of lightning?
Oh, what terrible thing! Wow.
Way to load that question.
Yeah,
It
that's
can't be easy.
yeah, that's definitely the definition of a loaded question.
Loaded for bear.
Okay. You can give Inara the gift of lightning right now at this moment, but she will never be able to actually use or harness it unless you offer up one of your heirs to Sura as repayment for what you have done. Awesome. Yes, let's keep this discovery phase rolling. I'm liking it. Cleve, make us a discovery.
As Cleve is watching all this go on.
You want to roll first?
Oh,
Cleve.
yes, thank you.
It is double city.
Doubles, and like, is it 4 below? Both of them 4 below that it triggers a thing?
Yeah, it's a mystery. Of course, you can play a feat to ignore the dice.
Yeah, I don't think I have anybody to. I can't really.
Oh, you've already used a feat, so
I used a feat, and I can't think of anybody I can strike fear into here right now. So.
Well, you've already used one feat this game, so
Okay.
you have used up your feats that you can use in this game. So yeah, so you make a discovery. It is something that's paranormal, supernatural, or mystical, arcane in nature, and none of the rogues see it.
All right, so Cleve is.
And you are Glum.
Yes. So Cleve is watching Sancho poke the walls of the temple and hearing the responses, and watching Inax throw fire everywhere and start talking, and he does not like this. He does not like this at all. And he's watching them do their things so closely, ready for things to go horribly, that he doesn't see up above lightning coalescing into the shape of a something that's high up in the spire, but like leaping from place to place, so like hiding from their sight, but drawing closer.
All right, so you get a question about that.
Yes, so what have the gods of sky unleashed for our desecrating their temple?
They have unleashed mirrors of all of your desires that you desired as you came here. So you will see that mirrored in the lightning. All right. Yeah, let's I'm gonna end the phase there. And we're gonna go to a perilous phase. We haven't done one yet. So the way the perilous phase works is I will pass somebody the dice. Okay. You do not roll the dice immediately. Basically, when I pass you the dice, I'm putting a target on you. And I'm going to continue to make things shitty for your character until you've decided I've had enough and roll the dice. Okay, until those dice are rolled, you cannot defeat anything in a perilous phase. All you can do, you can struggle against it, you can fight against it, but it's going to keep coming up with the upper hand until you roll those dice. Does that make sense? Awesome. So yeah, perilous phase. Let's go for tone.
So what happens when we finally do roll the dice?
When you roll the dice, you have total narrative authority. You can overcome the peril totally. You can just overcome it to where you have the upper hand now and pass it to another rogue. Or you can just like, you can take care of the peril once and for all by passing the dice back to me after you roll. So I can say like the rogues are facing off against an army of dragons, and you roll those dice and you can narrate your rogue killing a whole army of dragons if you wanted to. It's up to you.
Or I can pass the dice and see another rogue struggling with the dragons.
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, so this what did I roll, Jovial? Yeah, so this lightning had coalesced above all of you. And now it's starting to crackle super loudly. And if you remember how the echoes were working earlier, like as this lightning crackles and begins to strike the floor all around you, and that sonic boom, as it echoes, it's like deafening. You find yourself like huddled down, covering your ears. It is so loud. It's like firing off a gun in a closet of metal. And perhaps like your ears are starting to bleed. So that is the thunder, and that is the storm. Is this lightning is beginning to coalesce and come down. I'm going to give the dice to Little Bird. Little Bird. Okay, so remember, you can hold the dice for as long as you want. And I'm going to continue making it bad for your character.
Okay.
All right, and you don't need to let me finish my narration. You can interrupt me at any point, so don't feel bad if you stop me when I'm in mid-sentence.
And then in response to you, I'm exchanging how I survive or something, or what?
Right. Until you roll, you just narrate how you're struggling against it. Okay. The other rogues can jump in at any point and narrate how they're struggling as well.
Okay.
In a jovial tone, since that's the overtone. But until you roll those dice, you cannot definitively take action to get yourself out of that situation. When you've had enough, you roll the dice and then you narrate what you do to get yourself out. Yeah, so Little Bird, like, you're clutched down. Like, this is the loudest sound you have ever heard. It's just constantly echoing. It's pinging back between the walls of the spire. And the spire is like almost groaning in pain now. Like what was a breath, like a breathy feel earlier, is now like almost like a scream of pain as this sonic boom echoes back and forth. A ball of lightning lands right in front of you, Little Bird, and it begins to take shape, and it's so recognizable. It's like almost like it's taking shape as like a memory of the burning of your village. Like you can see the outline of the Baron's soldiers, and they are cutting down your family. They are cutting down the people of your village. You can see how it crackles out, and you can see silhouettes of burning buildings, and these tendrils of electricity are like crawling towards you, and you can feel the hair stand up on your head and on your skin as the lightning begins to touch you. You want me to continue, or up to you?
Her hopping and skipping has stopped, and she at first she's clutching her ears. The sound is so bad, and she's kind of almost balled up, and then she sees it, the Baron, or what she vaguely remembers as the Baron. She can't really remember what exactly. happened. And in this moment, she's not only freaked out about the safety of everybody else, she shouts out to Sancho and everybody, they're going to burn us down. Everything's going to be on fire, even though it's obviously lightning. But the thing that she's really scared about is that maybe the Baron doesn't exist. She's not too confident about her own memories or what exactly happened to destroy her village.
Awesome. So you didn't roll, so I'm going to continue to make it worse. Also, Anders, Pavel pointed out we should have a second mystery. So if you could come up with a mystery about that lightning,
Okay.
and type it into the threads.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So little bird, like that lightning, like it began to touch your skin and it felt tingly, but now it hurts as those fingers of electricity, and it almost like coalesces in front of you to look like the Baron is staring right at you and has his hands on your temples and is like digging in electricity straight into the inside of your head, and you feel it just shocking your brain, and like all these images of pain, all these images of hurt. Remember, you can roll the dice whenever you feel like it. And it drops you to your knees, and you can see, even though it is so bright in front of you, the light fading. You remember how this feels, and it feels like death.
Okay, I'll go ahead and roll the dice.
Okay.
So I just something it ties.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
you rolled a tie.
Yeah, I rolled a 3 and a 3.
Okay.
I don't know how accurate this is. We've rolled like 90% or 80% ties here.
There's been a lot of ties in this game. Well, the good news
I
is
haven't rolled any, so
well, ties are more interesting, I guess.
yeah,
so.
they are. They are. Ties and morals are great in this game. So before we move on and resolve that roll, we are now in what we call the end game. Okay. Because we have filled out the third motif. So the way the end game works, the beauty of it is it works just like the rest of the game. We keep playing. Okay. But the only difference is during your narration, you can reincorporate threads. Okay. So how you reincorporate threads from the motif is you choose a motif and you take at least 2 threads of that and remix them into something new as part of your narration. So like, for example, I'm going to take the first 2 threads of the first motif. The gates are closed by the gods and a blue light moving towards us. You can narrate something about a gate and like withholding a blue light, or you can narrate something about the gods moving towards us. Does that make sense? Okay. So whatever threads you use have to be from the same motif. You can't mix threads from 2 separate motifs. The second thing you could do to reincorporate is you can answer a mystery question. You can answer it straight up and be done with it, or you can answer it and then type out another mystery question to advance that mystery. I wouldn't do that in this. That's made for more long-term play if you're playing with the same group over and over again. But you can answer a mystery question. That's another way to reincorporate. The third way to reincorporate is you can, what they say is called suffering a moral. So we have 1 moral. So what you can do is show how your rogue has either learned from the moral or will never learn from that moral. And once you reincorporate, you cannot receive the dice again. So essentially you are out of the game. But once 3 rogues reincorporate, if we feel the need, the last rogue can do an epilogue. Does anybody have any questions on reincorporation? Awesome. So when you reincorporate,
just one. So we can either just keep playing until 3 of us have in any phase, which can be the next one, reincorporate something from this one.
Right. So we play until 3 players have reincorporated. Now, if you happen to reincorporate, you don't tell us beforehand that you're gonna reincorporate. Just do your narration and say, yeah, I reincorporated this, because it gives us a nice little surprise. With your reincorporation. All right. So
Okay.
so Little Bird, you rolled a tie.
Yes.
Okay. So Little Bird, you can play. You still have use of a feat heroic, so you could
Okay.
play a feat heroic to ignore the dice.
If I keep the dice, what did the dice mean?
So if you keep the dice, you rolled a mystery. So here's how mysteries work in the end phase. It's a little wonky. If you reincorporate, you still suffer what they call a stymie. That's rolling ties. So it's still bad for your character, but you don't need to write a new threat on the board if you reincorporate. So how a tie works in the Perilous Phase is you show that you're going to try to overcome the danger, but whatever you're trying doesn't work, because whatever you're fighting is way stronger than you.
I think I wanna lose this one. So no, okay, so I'll go ahead and play the feat heroic. I'll do the glum one. And she starts screaming out, no, you're not going to take me, and you're not going to hurt my friends. And she bursts into fire, and there's fire everywhere. And Sancho, Cleve, Enax, you see her ignite in this huge, the flames almost hit the very, very, very high ceiling of this huge area we're in. And she just starts striking out. There's fireballs going left and right. There's birds that are flying in, and she's screaming and running around and attacking something invisible. So actually, she's saying, no, the Baron, he's lightning, he's going to kill us all. You don't know what the hell she's talking about. You just see this empty room and her flipping out. Let's see, is there anything else I need to do to add to this?
Did you reincorporate?
Yeah, so I will. So she, you jump out of the way, and she, Hadoukens this amazing, 40-foot stream of flame into the wall, at which point you can feel the entire building shake and scream and writhe in pain as the flames hit the wall. And then suddenly the room is dark. The fires are out. She's out, cold, and the lightning has stopped. The stones have turned to stone, and the room is at an eerie silence.
Nice, I like it. So I'm guessing you reincorporated the third motif.
Yes, and you're not sure if she's dead. You're not sure if the building is dead, or what had happened.
Awesome. I like it. So what you can do is you can pass, if you feel like the Perilous Phase is over, you can pass the dice to me and say this phase is over. If you want to see more peril reappear against the other players, pass them the dice.
Okay, I pass the dice to GM.
Awesome. So the perilous phase is over. God, I love it. I love the idea of this little girl running around on fire, and everybody's like looking at her like, "What the heck is she doing?" um, awesome. So yeah, let's go into a rogues phase.
I was so totally hoping you'd pass the dice to me because I had a beautiful way to reincorporate the moral for Cleve in mind with the idea of the lightning thing going on there.
Awesome.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not sure. So we don't really give each other hints or like raise hands or something. Like if I had a cue like that, I might have just like handed the dice over.
Right. So it's totally up to you. It's like being a bunch of writers in a room and you're passing a book back and forth between you. That's kind of how this game plays out for the most part. It's like, here, I wrote my part, here, you write your part. So yeah, let's go into a rogues phase. I'm going to roll for tone. And it is glum. Okay, so...
Can you remind me how to reincorporate morals? We have to suffer it again or just show how we learned from it?
You can show how your rogue learned from it, like actually learn that lesson. Or you can show how your rogue is never going to learn that lesson.
Okay. And now Little Bird is out of the game, if I understand also?
Little Bird's not out of the game. Little Bird can still contribute, as flavor. But since Little Bird has reincorporated, Vincent cannot receive the dice again. So if you're going to pass the dice to somebody, you cannot pass it back to Vincent.
Okay.
So 2 more reincorporations, and we will be done. So I'm going to go to a rogues phase. The tone is glum. And I'm going to say, like, after this darkness had engulfed this spire, like, this happens right after. Like, all of a sudden, doors that you never thought were there. You can tell they're doors because of the faint outline as they crack open, and there's, like, this eerie blue glow behind each of the doors. And there's 4 doors. And for some reason, you all know one's for each of you. And there's 4 of you. And the thunder of this phase is you look up and you see that lightning starting to happen again. Like there is like a little fog cloud at the top of the spire, and it's beginning to spark to life.
Is it too late for me? Like, when would I do my trick, or is it too late?
Well, in essence, you can't receive the dice again, but that does not say that you cannot play your omen. So if you want your omen to come in, I'll allow it.
Well, I'm not going to force it. Well, I guess, yeah. So I think at some point soon I'd like to do that, but I don't know when the right moment is.
Okay. I mean, it's totally up to you. You want to play your trick now? You can play it now. Because there's no telling. Once 2 more people reincorporate, the game is essentially over.
Right. Okay. So, since Little Bird is down for the count, you're not sure if she's breathing or not. The funny thing is, that little crow that was following her around, I think there's an omen now of 1,000 crows. And is this something that GM incorporates in the thunder?
Yeah. So what I imagine happening is, as you see these 4 doors, you see a 5th door suddenly appear. But this one doesn't have that blue glow that the other 4 doors had. This one has a red glow, like an ember. And a single crow flies out from this door and disappears into the darkness around you. And then another one. And then another one. And it does not stop. And I believe the last thing you want to be involved in is in an enclosed space with 1,000 crows. So I'm going to pass
murder,
the dice.
2 for joy. I don't know what the rhyme goes to 1,000.
You do not want to be enclosed with a giant murder of crows. So Vincent can't receive the dice. Let's go with Sancho. Sancho. Show us how you determine which of these doors you need to walk through.
I'm going to roll. And I think if it rolled, I'm at Glum.
Yeah, you're glum, and that is also a moral. So you can play a feat heroic to ignore the dice. But if you reincorporate, you don't have to add a new thread. There'll still be a consequence of your action, but you don't need to add a new thread to the table. So it's your choice.
And succumbing to a moral is reincorporating, right? Like if something bad happens to me because I defied the moral, is that the idea?
So the idea. So first off, you want to choose. Do you want this to end up in a consequence for you, or do you want to ignore the dice altogether and just do your thing?
Oh yeah, I'm totally into having a consequence. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you decide you want to reincorporate one of the threads or one of the motifs or mysteries or morals, you're still going to have that consequence, but you don't need to add a new moral to the table.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, so I could, but I could like say for a reincorporation, okay, so we have a moral: do not rely on familiar instincts when in a hostile land. Like if I basically like something bad happens to me because of that moral, that counts as reincorporation. Right?
Yeah, pretty much, because it's showing your rogue will never learn from that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's my hope. So the demand was, how do I know which door is mine?
Yeah, show us how you know which door is yours to go to.
So I see standing in one of the doors, silhouetted by this red light, a figure, tall, broad of shoulder, with long hair that seems to be blowing with some sort of invisible wind. But I can't make out the features. It's just darkness. It's just a black shape. But my instincts are still good. I can't see who it is, but I can smell them. I can smell something. I smell a sort of something kind of herbaceous. It's like a deadly plant, sharp, like tomato or nightshade, coming from that area. And I'm reminded of Prince Alaran. And the reason why this reminds me of Prince Alaran is because Prince Alaran, for a time, was a student, as all young nobles must do. He was a student of a hedge witch, and he would frequently smell of these smells. And I don't know if it's Prince Alaran or not. Could just be some sort of trick, obviously. But I know what I'm good at. And so I step toward that door, smiling. My smile, to my mind, penetrating the darkness, but in fact is completely inked out by it. And I step close and to the shadowy figure, breathing close on its neck, and I still can't make out the features. I still can't tell what I'm looking at. And the shadowy figure, I touch it. I run my hand along it. I do all the sorts of things that have always worked so well in the past. And they return the embrace. But in the doing, slide something into me, sharp, painful, between the ribs.
Nice. Sorry, are you saying that Sancho met his fate here? Or
I
his
think
fate?
so. Yeah, and it was a moral, reincorporating that moral.
Nice. All right, so let me strike that one out. That was good. Okay, so you can end the phase. You can pass it to another player.
I'm going to pass it to Enox. Same demand. How do you know which door is for you?
Remember to roll, Pavel.
Yeah. Glum. Okay. I'm looking at the various motives over here. How do I know which gate is for me? As Inax is like finishing reading this ancient letters on the inner walls and is thinking whether he should pay the price to make his beloved gifted. He realized that the things are a little bit more dire than they seem, because through one of the gates we see Surah. Just like first his head appears, and we see this like huge red dragon lizard head, and then his claws, and he's like pulling himself out from the gate, and we see that Inax realizes that if he is to escape this place safely, he will probably have to go for the same gate, because he lives in the same area where the dragon is also living. But he also knows that he cannot leave this place until he gets to the top of the tower, or maybe somewhere a little bit higher to the second level, and gifts Inara with the gift. So we see them running up the stairs to the second level as Surah comes through the gate, and he looks down to remember that this was this gate, and he has to plan how to get back there in the future.
Nice. Did you reincorporate?
Nope.
Okay.
Remember, you don't have to reincorporate. We can keep going until like it feels like the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But since only two of you can receive the dice, you're going to be passing the dice back and forth.
Yeah. I think whether Cliff, you mentioned that you have some that you didn't get to play your ideas before, so do you want to play them now?
I have a thought for like where I want to go for reincorporating one of the things. So yeah, if you want to pass the dice, that'd be.
Okay, but I have to think what challenge they wanna throw your way.
You could ask the same question for me. It's a really good question for this situation.
Perfect. As you see Inas and his beloved run up the stairs, how do you determine which of the remaining 3 doors are for you?
So as the gates open and these other things are happening. Oh, roll, thank you. And the tone is glum. Good. This fits very nicely for this. So as these doors are opening and Sancho is disappeared and the gate is closed behind them and whatever happened there, and a murder of crows is swarming overhead, danced by lightning, and a dragon's coming through and chasing after Inax. Through one of the gates, I hear the sounds of an army. And from this army, a figure advances, and it is this figure made of lightning is my father. It is Benedict himself, and I can hear the sounds of his army, but only he has passed through the gate. And he looks to me, and I look to him, and he says, "You will never be free of my name. You know this." And I draw my sword and point it at him, and I reply, "That may well be, but I will make so..." Actually, I phrase that. I draw my sword, pointing back at him. "Then I will make it so my name casts the shadow on yours. Now draw," and lunge towards him to strike. As his army swarms out and forms a circle around us, I cross blades with this lightning ghost of my father. Blades of light, his blade of lightning light dancing against Simplicity's edge. And as we whirl and, cue the fight scene that's really hard to describe, but, gorgeous sword choreography happens until finally I strike him down. And as I sheath my sword, as the army behind him that was pressing forward starts to fall back, their general defeated. You may be best with the army, but I own the blade.
Nice. That was good. That was beautiful. Awesome. So we have had 3 rogues reincorporate, which means we have 1 rogue that has not reincorporated. And I think we could use a little epilogue here because I want to see what happens with Inax.
As all of these events unfold, I think you might have noticed that Little Bird's chest starts to glow. A little stone in a little necklace that she had been wearing this whole time that she never told you about starts to glow faintly in the darkness.
No telling where that goes. Awesome. So, Inax, since you didn't reincorporate anything, why don't you give us a roll for tone and just give us a short little epilogue about it could be about Inax, it could be about the Temple of the Sky, however you see fit to end this episode.
Okay, so I unmuted. I rolled finally something jovial. Yes, I think. How tall is this tower? Yeah, let's make it on the top. I think we see Inax carrying his beloved in his arms, and he's like almost like jumping like 10 steps at a time to get ahead of the surah, and he gets to the very top of the tower, and through all these things, Inara has been wounded by under the undead or the surah attacking, or the high amount of aggressive crows flying everywhere, and he gently puts her on the floor, and he stands there and he shouts to the gods of lightning that he orders them, because he bears the power of the Lord of the Fire. He orders the Lord of the Lightning to share his gift with Inara, so that both of them can live forever and can be forever in love. And we see like the massive lightning strike Inara, but it isn't like electrocution. We see her stand up, and with this like lightning cloak everywhere, Inax realizes that she knows that he decided that their firstborn will be sacrificed to Sura, and he knows that it will take him ages of their immortal life to apologize to her for all of this, because maybe we see that she was already pregnant at this point and that the baby's already coming, and we see Sura also stop because he knows that he will get his revenge, his sacrifice. But the parting shot for Inax is that Inara just like is angry, and as lightning is angry, the lightning begins to strike. So maybe the camera shows Inax like falling from the top of the tower, and they're just flying away on the wings of fire, because he knows that he needs to give her time to vent the emotions, and then maybe slowly apologize to her, because he thinks he did the right thing. He made her gifted, and now they can be in love for eternity.
Awesome.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad you all joined me this morning. I was worried that this game was going to make. Jason and Anders, thanks for jumping in late. I really appreciate it. So you have now all experienced the joy of the self-contained one-shot of Swords Without Master.
I see why this game has the following it does now.
Yes. It some people it's for them, some people it's not for them. But in my opinion, it always tells at least an interesting story with interesting characters. So before I cut out the broadcast, I'll give each of you time to maybe give a little shout out. If you want to advertise, where people can find you, on the internet, we could do all that. So I'll call through to each of you, give a quick shout out. We'll stop the broadcast. And if you want to stick around for, maybe 5 or 10 minutes afterwards, we could do a little debrief. That's okay. All right. So I'll just go left to right on my Hangout screen. Landers, if you want to say hello, goodbye, or a shout out.
Everybody, make sure if you're in America, make sure you vote. This election's important. I don't really have a big internet presence that I feel a need to advertise, but vote.
Awesome, thank you. Jason.
I'm Jason Cordova. I'm the principal organizer of the Gauntlet, and if you can find us at gauntlet-rpg.com or on Twitter at GauntletRPG. We're currently running a Kickstarter for Codex Volume 1 hardcover book. Please go back it. That ends on the 28th.
Awesome, Jason. You said that like you've had a lot of practice saying that. All right, Pavel.
I just want to say that if you ever had a chance to play this game yourself, go and do it. It was very good experience to start the con with this exercise of creativity and storytelling.
Thank you, and Vincent.
No self-aggrandizement here, but I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Gauntlet. If y'all are watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could try all these games, but I don't have people to play with, sign up for the groups at the Gauntlet, because they're always playing this stuff. And I just think it's amazing that every week you can find somebody to play with. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick, a member of the Gauntlet. You can find me in any of the Gauntlet communities on Twitter, G+, or you can contact me on my blog, fictivefun.com. And once again, let me say thank you for anybody watching this and for all the players and the Gauntlet community. Thank you, Jason, for creating such a wonderful thing. So everybody say bye to the internet. I'm going to stop the broadcast.